everybody, my name is Mars. You can call me Mayor MG if you would like, and today's video is my, not March, I almost said March, my April wrap-up and my May TBR. Don't know why I wanted to say March. Anyway, I'm kind of gonna rapid fire this wrap-up where I tell you about all the books that I read in April, because I go into detail about all of these in my Aurelium vlog, because all of the books that I read were part of the Aurelium Magical Readathon hosted by G at Book Roast, and I vlogged the entire month of reading, and so I don't really feel like it's necessary for me to repeat all my thoughts. So I literally have my reading journal here, and I'm just going to tell you what book I read and what star rating I gave it. If you would like to know the details of any of these books and like my thoughts on them, you can watch my vlog, which comes out either the week after this video or 2 weeks after this video. I'm not entirely sure because I have that vlog and I have a writing vlog. I don't remember which one I set up to go next week and which one the week after. Regardless, it'll be up for you to watch pretty soon. So let's just talk about all of the books that I read in April. So first, I picked up The Battle for Scandia, which is book 4 in the Ranger's Apprentice series by John Flanagan, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. Then I read The Girl from the Other Side, volume 12, which is side stories. I gave it an 8 out of 10. If you can hear sounds, that's Chloe doing something on the other side of the room. I don't know what she's up to. Third book I picked up was Delicious Monsters by Lizelle Sambury, another 8 out of 10. Then I read Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson, and you guessed it, 8 out of 10. It was a very strong start to the month, very good, solid books. Then I read The Scapegracers by H.A. Clarke, and I gave it a 6 out of 10. Then I picked up The Wizards of Once by Cressida Cowell, and I DNF'd it at page 85. Then I read Roar by Cora Carmack, and I gave it a 6 out of 10. After that, I read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. And then I read Iron Wolf by Siri Petterson, and I gave it another 8 out of 10. Then I picked up My Last Duchess and Other Poems by Robert Browning, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. After that, I read Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner? Not really sure how to pronounce that, but I gave it a 10 out of 10. It was a fantastic book, which is surprising because I'm not really a nonfiction person. I'm definitely not a memoir person, so the fact that I loved this so much was kind of surprising. Then I read the Dry Griffins trilogy. So book 1 is the Revenge of the Shadow King, and I gave it a 6 out of 10. Book 2 is The Rise of the Black Wolf, and I gave it a 3 out of 10. And I am currently reading book 3, which is The Fall of the Templar, and I don't think I'm going to give it a very high rating going off of the first two. But yes, just giving you the basics. Those are all of the books that I read, and if you want to hear my specific thoughts on them, watch my Aurelium vlog. Now we come to the part of the video where I figure out how many reads I'm going to have as part of my TBR for next month. So what I do is I roll this d4, and there are rules involving like what I roll, if I have to roll again and add. But for this month, because I added a new rule last month and then used that new rule, I have to remember that I have whatever I roll with this plus 1 because I have a rollover card from last month. So hopefully we roll a low number if I'm going to have to already have 1 on top of that. Alright, so as you can see, Chloe has joined me. So we're going to roll and see what I get. That is a 2. No, hold on, let me grab it so you can see it. That top number is a 2. So I have to roll again and add. So let's see. I got a 3. Hold on. These d4s are so hard to pick up. So that's 5 plus the rollover is 6 total. So not a whole lot, but almost the maximum of what I can have. So it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, let's see what cards I pull. So we already have 3 of Fiends, which is the card that was left over from last month that I postponed. So we have the deck here. I have pre-shuffled it, but we're just gonna do a little bit more and try not to drop it, just so you can see that I didn't rig it or anything. And we're gonna pull 5 cards. So first up we have, the 4 of Undead. This is one of my favorite cards. I love the pastel colors on this. Second pull is the Monk. Okay. The third pull, another pastel, yes, the Ranger. I'm a sucker for pastels. The fourth pull is the Three of Constructs, and the fifth and final pull this month is the Monstrosity. So I'm going to stop filming for a minute to figure out what prompts actually correspond to these cards and then pick books to fit those prompts. So I will be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I have some interesting books to talk about, some of which I was already planning on reading in May, some of which I wasn't, but we're gonna make do. So let's just start from the top. So first up we have the Three of Fiends, which is the card that I rolled over, and the prompt for this is a fantasy or paranormal romance. Chloe is scratching at the door. I had to kick her out because she was biting at my pant strings. We're gonna move on and pretend she's not there. Technically it was supposed to just be a fantasy romance, but I was looking at my prompts, and fantasy romance and paranormal romance are too similar for me, so I kind of combined them and gave the other card that was paranormal romance a new subgenre of romance. Regardless, fantasy or paranormal romance, I'm gonna go with Starcrossed by Josephine Angelini, which is one of the picks for the Tome Travelers book club this month. Next up, for the Four of Undead, the prompt is a book that you've held onto for too long, and I am going with Before She Ignites by Jodi Meadows. I've owned this for years and years and years, and it's about time that I finally read it. So this is definitely a book I've held onto for too long. Next up, we have The Monk, and the two possible prompts for this are a book that's part of a duology, or a book where I don't own the rest of the series, and I'm going with a book where I don't own the rest of the series. I am tweaking it a little bit because I own some of the books in the series, I just don't own the complete set. But the book I am going for is Graceling by Kristen Cashore. This will be a reread for me. This is a series that I love. I own the first 3 out of 5, and this is the Nostalgia Train book club pick, so I'm glad that I could fit it in because I'm so excited to be reading this with my friends. The next card is the Ranger, and the two prompts for this one are a standalone or an author's debut. I'm going to go with a standalone for this, and I'm a little bit scared because the standalone I am picking is The Priory of the Orange Tree, 800 pages, and I'm nervous, but I'm going with this because I just really, really, really want to read it, so hopefully I can actually read it next month. I am giving myself permission to switch this out for a different standalone if it gets later in the month and I haven't had time to read it and I don't think I'm going to be able to fit it in. So I'm giving myself a little bit of a cop-out, but hopefully I get to read this chunker of a book. I'm going to put it down, this is so heavy. Then we have the Three of Constructs, and the prompt for this is a book that was published between 2010 and 2019, and I'm going with The Lost Queen. I didn't write down the author of this one, but that was published in 2018, so it fits, and that is another pick for the Tome Travelers book club. I'm very glad that I get to read 2 of them this month, hopefully, assuming that I actually get to read all these books. And finally, we have The Monstrosity, and the prompt for this is body horror or a slasher kind of horror, and I'm going with Hell's Paradise. I do own the first volume of this, I just didn't feel like going out into the other room to grab it, but this will be a reread. I love Hell's Paradise, it's probably my favorite manga of all time, but I'm thinking it's due for a reread. The anime just started airing, and so I'm just so in the mood for it, so that is my pick for The Monstrosity. So these are the books that I own physically. Not a lot, but oh boy are they hefty. I might be making a mistake putting some very chunky books on here, but hopefully it balances out with the fact that I've got a manga and like Graceling is a reread. We'll see how this month goes. I'm gonna put this down before I break my wrist. But yes, that is all for me today. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, friends.